You know what they say about judging a book by its cover? In prison, that mistake can cost you everything. Let me tell you about the day Kevin Williams walked into Redstone Maximum Security facility. But wait, before we go on, please subscribe, like, and share this video, because every story like this deserves to be heard. And together we can shine a light on the voices that injustice tried to silence. Let's continue. It was a Tuesday, one of those gray, forgettable mornings where the intake bus rolls through the gates and deposits another batch of men into hell. Kevin stepped off that bus looking like every other scared newcomer. Head down, shoulders slightly hunched, moving with the careful neutrality of someone trying not to attract attention. The inmates watching from the yard saw exactly what they expected to see: fresh meat. They were wrong, spectacularly, dangerously wrong. See, Kevin Williams wasn't just another inmate. He wasn't even Kevin Williams, not really. That name was Cover, a temporary identity issued by a classified government division that most people don't even know exists. His real code name? Mr. Ice? His real job? 12 years eliminating threats in places so hostile they don't appear on official maps. And his reason for being in Redstone? A man named Gerald Hernandez, Big G to everyone who feared him, which was pretty much everyone. Big G had a problem. He liked hurting people, specifically black inmates, and he was very good at it. So good that the federal government wanted him locked away permanently on an offshore island prison where the sun don't shine and rehabilitation isn't even pretended. But they needed proof, evidence, documentation from the inside. So they sent Mr. Ice. Big G took one look at Kevin Williams and saw an opportunity. Another victim, another display of dominance. What he should have seen was a reckoning with his name on it. Now, before we get to the moment Big G learned this lesson the hard way, you need to understand who Gerald Hernandez really was and why he'd spent 3 years making Redstone his personal kingdom of cruelty. Big G's reputation wasn't built overnight. For 3 years, he'd ruled Cell Block D with systematic brutality, and his pattern was unmistakable. He targeted black inmates and new arrivals specifically. Marcus had been beaten so badly he'd requested transfer. Darnell spent 2 weeks in the infirmary with internal bleeding. Jerome still couldn't fully extend his left arm after Big G accidentally slammed it in a door. The guards knew, everyone knew, but Big G was careful. He used camera blind spots, had his crew provide alibis, and intimidated witnesses into silence. His violence always had plausible deniability. What Big G didn't know was that his escalating pattern had triggered federal attention. Prison administration had documented enough incidents to justify assessment for the offshore facility, an isolated island prison designed for irredeemable, violent offenders. The government just needed confirmation from the inside, someone to document his methods, witness his targeting, prove the pattern beyond legal doubt. They'd sent Mr. Ice to be that witness. Day 2, yard time. Kevin exercised alone in the corner, simple push-ups, pull-ups on rusted bars. Not showing off, just maintaining. But even those basic movements revealed something. Controlled strength, disciplined form, the economy of motion that comes from years of training. Big G noticed. He always noticed. He approached with his lieutenants, razor, scarred face, and dead eyes, and Tiny, ironically massive, and stood directly over Kevin mid-push-up, blocking the sun. "You got a nice spot here, new fish. I think I want it." Kevin finished his rep, stood slowly, wiped sweat from his face. No aggressive moves, no challenge in his posture. "No problem, plenty of space." He turned to leave, body language completely submissive. Big G's hand clamped down on his shoulder, fingers digging in hard. "I didn't say you could leave." Kevin stopped, waited, every muscle controlled, breathing steady despite the grip designed to intimidate. Incident 1, his mind cataloged the following. Witnesses, 12-15 inmates, 2 guards in tower, physical contact, unprovoked, racial targeting, probable, document and disengage. What's your name, boy? The racial undertone deliberate, testing. Kevin Williams, sir. Big G laughed, a sound like breaking glass. The sir confirmed what he wanted to believe: fear, submission, weakness. You gonna be fun to break, Kevin Williams. He released him, walked away laughing with his crew. Kevin returned to his exercises, face expressionless, but his eyes were calculating, memorizing, cataloging everything. That evening, Kevin met his cellmate, Marcus, early 40s, serving 8 years for armed robbery. Marcus had seen the yard interaction and shook his head as Kevin unpacked his few belongings. Man, you need to stay away from him. Gerald Hernandez don't play. Noted, thanks. Marcus told him everything: the previous victims, Big G's methods, the specific racial pattern. He hates black men particularly. Something from his past. Nobody knows what. Kevin listened, absorbed every detail. This was intelligence gathering. You seem calm, Marcus observed. That's good, but calm don't save you from Big G. Kevin lay on his bunk, staring at the ceiling, while calculating the following. That subject demonstrates clear pattern of racial targeting. Victim selection follows documented profile. Escalation timeline is typically 2 to 3 weeks before major physical assault. Mission parameters includes to endure, observe, document. Mr. Ice closed his eyes and began the wait. He'd endured worse than bullies. He'd endured war. By day 3, when the lunch line moved slowly, trays scraping on metal rails, Kevin reached for his food when Big G bumped into him. Hard. The tray flew from his hands. Spaghetti and sauce splattered across the floor. Laughter erupted around them. Kevin bent down and started cleaning it up with napkins. No complaints, no anger on his face. A guard watched from the corner, but didn't move. It looked like an accident. Clumsy, aren't you? Big G said, grinning. Yes, sir. My apologies, Kevin said quietly. Incident 2, his mind recorded, involving public humiliation, while 30 witnesses and guards watched but did nothing. On day 5, the laundry room was empty when Kevin was folding his clean uniform, but suddenly Razor and Tiny, friends of Big G, who walked in. Let me check your work, Razor said. He grabbed Kevin's neatly folded clothes and dumped them in the dirty water bucket. These don't look clean enough. Kevin stared at the soaked uniforms, then started washing them again. No argument, no fight. Incident 4, he noted mentally, involving property damage in an isolated room and pattern getting worse. By day 7, Kevin walked alone on the yard track. Someone's foot shot out from behind. He went down hard, palms scraping bloody on the concrete. He stood up slowly and kept walking. Other inmates watched. Some looked sorry for him. Most looked away, too scared to help. On incident 6, he noted, physical contact increasing, first blood drawn, pattern moving faster. That night, when the cell block was quiet, Marcus whispered from his bunk, "They're gonna hurt you bad, Kevin. Maybe kill you." Kevin stared at the ceiling. "Why are you letting him do this?" Marcus pressed. "Fight back, man. Even if you lose, at least you stood up." "Sometimes fighting isn't the answer," Kevin said. Marcus sat up, frustrated. "You got a death wish or something?" Kevin's voice stayed calm. "I've got a plan. Trust me." Marcus shook his head. "Had a cellmate before you, Antoine. Thought he had a plan too. Big G put him in the infirmary for 3 months. He walks with a limp now, permanent." Kevin was silent, taking it in. He noted, previous victim confirmed. Medical records matched the pattern. Maybe 1 more week before the big attack. I'm just saying, man, Marcus whispered. Whatever plan you got, make it soon. On day 10, Kevin returned from his work assignment to find their cell destroyed. His photos were torn up. His mattress was cut open, stuffing everywhere. Marcus looked sick. I couldn't stop them. They said they had hurt me. It's okay, Kevin said. They are just things. But inside, he noted Incident 11, destroying my stuff, threatening witnesses. He's getting bolder. Day 12, the shower room was steamy and loud with running water. Kevin was rinsing soap from his hair when the noise suddenly stopped. Big G stood in the doorway watching him. You're real pretty when you're a wet boy, he said slowly. Kevin finished rinsing, grabbed his towel, dried off and left without looking at him. But his jaw was tight, the first crack in his calm mask. He also noted Incident 13, including sexual threats, racial insults. He's almost ready for the big move. On day 14, during yard time, Big G backed Kevin against the fence, away from the cameras. He leaned close, his breath hot. Soon, I'm gonna make you my bitch. Whole prison gonna watch. Kevin's eyes lifted and met his just for 1 second, and something flickered there that made Big G pause. But then Kevin looked down again. Big G's confidence came flooding back. He walked away laughing. Kevin stood against the fence alone. One more week, Mr. Ice told himself. Then I'll show Gerald Hernandez what a real predator looks like. Morning yard time. Kevin noticed Big G's crew huddled together, whispering. They kept looking at him. Something was coming. Marcus grabbed his arm. It's happening today or tomorrow. I've seen this before. Kevin nodded slowly. Thanks. You gotta request protective custody, Marcus said, desperate. Tell the guards. That's not how this works. Marcus stared at him. How what works? Kevin caught himself. I mean, I can't hide forever. Might as well face it. In the library, Kevin sat alone reviewing everything in his mind. 3 weeks, 17 incidents documented. The pattern was crystal clear. Racial targeting, escalating violence, public humiliation. Previous victims confirmed. Marcus transferred out. Antoine permanently injured. 3 others beaten badly. Big G's transfer to the offshore facility was justified. The evidence was solid, but the mission needed one more thing, witnessing Big G's attack in action. The government needed to see his methods during a real assault. Kevin's authorization was clear. Defend with necessary force when the time came. Subject will attack within 48 hours, he thought. Location, probably the gym. He'll want witnesses. He always does. Kevin's hands flexed unconsciously. 12 years of training, ready. By dinner time, the mess hall was loud with conversations and clanking trays. Kevin carried his food toward his usual corner when Big G stepped in front of him. Where you think you're going? Kevin stopped. That's my table now. Big G smiled. You eat on the floor. Every inmate was watching. This was the moment right before violence explodes. Kevin looked at the table, looked at Big G, then set his tray on the floor and sat cross-legged. He ate quietly while Big G's crew laughed. Other inmates looked away, embarrassed for him. But Kevin's breathing stayed calm and controlled. As usual, he noted, Incident 17 involving maximum humiliation. Public. He's setting up the final attack. His confidence is at the peak. Perfect. Big G spoke loud enough for everyone to hear. Tomorrow, Jim, we finish this, nobody. Back in the cell, Marcus was already asleep. Kevin stretched methodically in the darkness. Not exercise, combat preparation. Loosening his shoulders, testing his flexibility, clearing his mind. 12 years of black ops training flowed through his muscle memory. He'd fought in places most people couldn't imagine. Dangerous places, deadly places. Gerald Hernandez was dangerous to regular people. To Mr. Ice, he was just another target. Tomorrow the mission ends, he thought. Tomorrow, Big G learns the difference between prison muscle and military precision. Kevin lay down and closed his eyes. He fell asleep instantly. The sleep of someone completely at peace with violence. In 12 hours, Redstone Maximum Security would see something it had never seen before. Gerald Hernandez, broken. By next day, 2 p.m., recreational gym time. Kevin entered alone, weights, punching bags, basketball court. The gym had cameras, but Big G knew the blind spots. Kevin headed to the weights. Behind him, Big G, Razor, and Tiny walked in. Other inmates felt the tension. They left quickly. Within 2 minutes, Kevin was alone with Big G's crew. The guard stayed outside, door closed. This was how Big G always worked. Kevin lifted light weights back to them. He could see their reflection in the mirror. Big G signaled Razor to block the door. Kevin's pulse stayed steady, 62 beats per minute. Big G approached from behind. Thought we could have a private conversation? Kevin set down the weights and turned slowly. About what? About respect, about knowing your place. Big G stepped closer, towering over him. About understanding that in here I own you. A racist slur followed, designed to provoke. Kevin's face stayed neutral, but his stance shifted. Weight balanced, ready. Big G didn't notice. He only saw submission. Get on your knees. Kevin didn't move. I said, get on your knees, boy. You're gonna clean my boots. Kevin's voice dropped, became something different, cold and final. No. Big G heard the change. For 1 second, uncertainty flickered in his eyes. Then pride took over. What did you just say to me? Kevin's posture transformed, shoulders back, breathing shifted, eyes focused with deadly precision. I said no, Gerald, no more. Big G's face darkened. You just made the worst mistake of your life. He lunged with a haymaker meant to end it instantly. But Kevin wasn't there anymore. He moved like water, tilted his head 6 inches. Big G's fist whistled past his ear. Kevin caught the wrist mid-swing and twisted with surgical precision. The elbow hyperextended. Ligaments popped. Big G roared in pain. Palm strike to the solar plexus. Perfectly placed. Big G dropped to his knees, gasping, unable to breathe. Razor charged from the left. Kevin pivoted. Elbow to the temple. Razor collapsed, unconscious. Tiny hesitated, then rushed forward. Kevin sidestepped, used Tiny's momentum against him, and guided him face first into the concrete wall. Broken nose. Lights out. Entire sequence. 11 seconds. Kevin's breathing stayed steady, not even elevated. Big G knelt on the floor, clutching his ribs, staring up in shock. Mr. Ice crouched down. His voice was cold and professional. Now we talk. Kevin knelt beside Big G, who was still gasping for air. His voice was quiet but carried authority. Gerald Hernandez. 3 weeks, 17 documented incidents. He listed them calmly. Targeted harassment, 12 with racial slurs, 8 with physical assault. Big G tried to speak, couldn't, still winded. Marcus transferred after you broke his jaw, Kevin continued. Antoine hospitalized with fractured ribs. Darnell has permanent nerve damage. Each name hit Big D like a punch. This wasn't random. The government needed confirmation, evidence, someone on the inside to document your methods. Kevin leaned closer. They sent me a codename, Mr. Ice, Black Ops Intelligence, 12 years. Big G's eyes went wide, understanding. Fear. You're a cop? Kevin's smile was cold. No, cops have rules. I have authorizations. You just assaulted a federal operative. That changes everything. Kevin stood, His voice shifted. Professional. Teaching. I've eliminated targets in 14 countries. Dismantled terrorist cells. You're not even close to the most dangerous person I've fought. You're just loud. Big G tried to stand. Kevin placed one hand on his shoulder. Not violent, just controlled strength. Pushed him back down effortlessly. Stay down. Listen. 3 weeks I watched you. Every slur, every threat, every pathetic display over someone you thought was weak. You're predictable, sloppy, and nowhere near as dangerous as you think. Big G's voice shook. My crew, they'll kill you for this. Your crew is unconscious, and nobody in this prison will touch me now. The gym door opened. A guard finally came in. He saw the scene. Big G on his knees, Razor and Tiny unconscious. Kevin standing calm. His radio crackled. What happened? Gerald slipped, Kevin said. Hit his head. His friends tried to help, also slipped. An obvious lie delivered with complete confidence. The guard looked at Big G. That what happened. Big G stared at Kevin with new fear, nodded slowly. Medical team's coming, the guard said. All 3 of you, infirmary. Kevin walked out calmly as paramedics arrived. Inmates in the hallway saw him emerge, saw Big G being carried out on a stretcher. Word spread like fire through dry grass. The new guy took down Big G and his crew, didn't even break a sweat. By dinner, the entire prison knew. Gerald Hernandez's 3-year reign had ended in 11 seconds, and everyone knew who ended it. By next day, breakfast. Kevin entered the mess hall and conversation stopped. All eyes turned to him, but not with hostility, with respect mixed with fear. He took his tray and walked to his usual corner. This time, nobody bothered him. 3 inmates moved their trays away, giving him space. Marcus joined him, eyes wide. Who are you really? Does it matter? Kevin said. Man, Big G's in the infirmary with broken ribs and a messed up elbow. Razor's got a concussion. Tiny's nose is destroyed. You did that in what, 10 seconds? Kevin ate calmly. 11 seconds. Marcus shook his head. I tried to warn you about him. Turns out he needed warning about you. In the infirmary, Big G lay in bed, arm in a sling, ribs wrapped tight. Razor and Tiny were in beds nearby, both looking worse. The doctor checked his charts. You're lucky nothing was broken worse. These injuries were precisely placed. Whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Big G said nothing, just stared at the ceiling. Another inmate brought news. Whole prison's talking. They're saying you got destroyed by the new guy. Big G's voice was hollow. That wasn't no new guy. That was a damn shark. He kept seeing it in his mind. Kevin's cold eyes, surgical precision, complete control. For the first time in 20 years, Gerald Hernandez felt genuinely afraid. His power came from being the strongest, the most violent. But he just met someone who could have killed him before he threw a punch, and chose not to. 2 days later, the prison PA system crackled to life. Inmate Gerald Hernandez being transferred to federal custody, effective immediately. Inmates exchanged glances. Everyone knew what that meant. The offshore facility, the island prison for the worst of the worst. Big G was escorted out in chains, maximum security transport. As he passed through the yard, he saw Kevin reading on a bench. Their eyes met. Big G's carried fear. Kevin's carried nothing, just cold assessment. Mission complete. Big G looked away first. He'd learned what real predators looked like, and they didn't need to roar to be dangerous. Kevin sat alone in the prison library reading. Marcus approached slowly. Can I ask you something? Kevin nodded and closed his book. Why'd you take all that abuse for 3 weeks? You could have ended it day 1. Kevin thought for a moment. Because my job wasn't to fight Big G, it was to document him. The government needed proof, patterns, methods, escalation from inside. If I'd shown what I could do early, he would have backed off, changed tactics, mission incomplete. Marcus processed this. So you just let him think he was breaking you? I've had SEER training, survival, wild evasion, resistance, escape. I've been interrogated by professionals. Gerald was amateur hour. His insults, his threats, that wasn't even close to the worst I've experienced. Marcus frowned. But all those guys he hurt before you got here, Antoine, me, the others, we could have used someone like you earlier. Kevin's expression softened. I know. That's the hard part. Sometimes missions require patience, letting bad things happen so worse things can be prevented. Big G's going to that offshore facility now. He'll never hurt anyone again. If I'd stopped him sooner, maybe he'd have just been transferred to another regular prison, would have found new victims. Marcus was quiet, understanding the cold logic. I'm not a hero, Marcus. I'm a tool. The government pointed me at a problem, and I solved it. Those 3 weeks, you think I suffered? That was me working. Marcus shook his head. Still, man, takes someone special to get beat on and not react. It's about knowing the difference between a battle and a war, Kevin said. Gerald won a few battles. I won the war. Kevin continued. There are 12 men like Gerald in the federal system right now. Pattern offenders, racist, violent, can't be fixed. The offshore facility was built for them, but the government needs proof, documented, undeniable proof. I'm one of 5 operatives doing these assessments. We rotate through prisons, document the worst ones, build cases. Dangerous job, Marcus said. Kevin shrugged. I've had worse. At least here nobody's shooting at me. Plus, in a weird way, it's satisfying. Every big G we remove is dozens of future victims saved. Marcus nodded slowly. When you leaving? 2 weeks. Then they erase my record, reassign me, and Kevin Williams disappears. Marcus extended his hand. Well, until then, I'm glad you're here. Kevin shook it, the first genuine friendship he'd made in years. 2 weeks later, during morning intake and processing, Kevin stood in civilian clothes for the first time in weeks. No more orange jumpsuit. The warden personally oversaw his release. Unusual. Mr. Williams, your record has been expunged per federal order. He handed Kevin an envelope. Inside is your new identification. Your old identity is retired. Kevin nodded. He'd done this before. Walking through the final checkpoint, Kevin saw Marcus in the yard, waving through the fence. Kevin raised his hand, a simple goodbye to his only real friend here. The gate opened. An unmarked black SUV waited outside. Same suits from before. Kevin climbed in without looking back. Inside the SUV, the suits didn't introduce themselves. Kevin didn't ask. One handed him a tablet. Mission report already filed. Gerald Hernandez arrived at the offshore facility 3 days ago. Maximum isolation. No contact with other prisoners. Kevin reviewed the report. His 3 weeks became a 50-page assessment. 17 incidents documented. Pattern confirmed. Recommendation, permanent isolation, 0 chance of parole. Good work, the other suit said. Textbook execution. Gerald make any statements? Kevin asked. Yeah, said he met the devil in there, said the devil looked like nobody special. Kevin almost smiled. He wasn't wrong, but then the tablet displayed a new file. Name, Raymond the Bull Caldwell. Location, Victorville Federal Penitentiary. Pattern, preys on weaker inmates, suspected in 3 prison deaths. Same mission, different target. Interested? The suit asked. Kevin closed the tablet. When do I go in? Monday. You'll be Jerome Washington. Transfer from Lompoc. Same parameters. Observe, document, assess. Kevin nodded. This was his job. his purpose. The SUV headed toward the safe house. Kevin watched America pass by through tinted windows. 12 years doing this, he thought. How many more targets? How many more prisons? But every Gerald Hernandez removed that is 20 victims saved. Every Raymond Caldwell documented is justice for those who can't fight back. Someone has to do this work. The SUV stopped at an anonymous apartment building. Kevin stepped out, duffel bag over his shoulder. He looked like any other person, forgettable, unremarkable, exactly as trained. Mr. Ice disappeared into the crowd, a ghost with a government badge and a mission that never ended. Somewhere in a prison he'd never seen, another predator was hunting. And soon, very soon, that predator would learn the same lesson Gerald Hernandez had. The most dangerous people are the ones you never see coming. If you enjoyed this story, subscribe for more tales of justice from the shadows and comment where you're chatting from. Next time, the bull meets his match.